Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host, Sam Animo Mackenzie, and with me, as always, Harry Nero Richards. And I feel kind of bad, Harry. I feel kind of bad because I've not done this for a good few weeks now. But how you doing, mate?
Well, the thing is, I always start answering and you cut me off, so I just, do you know what? You don't deserve to now. You don't deserve it.
Wow, don't even get to do the moving swiftly on. Yeah, Cloud9. Let's talk about Cloud9. It's in the fucking video title, so it's not like people don't know. But as the video title says, not really a super team, this is it. It might be on paper, it might look fucking fantastic, and you were all really excited about it because you thought Electronic was going to be the glaive to your TSM arc. But
he still can.
No, of course, he still can. You know, it took them fuckers time. It might take these fuckers time. But right now, it ain't looking good, is it, Harry?
No, so obviously Cologne impacted by exile, then Gamers 8, they lost to a very good team as well.
Hang on. No, I'm pausing you already. Sorry.
What?
Cloud9 impacted by exile. Cologne impacted by exile. Where did they get in Cologne?
Playoffs.
Not that impacted then, is it? It's probably the best they've looked, actually.
Well, obviously the pref is fucked, and Exile's coming in cold. Like, it's a write-off. They've done quite well, if you ask me.
Okay.
Gamers 8, they lost to Ents. You can lose to Ents. I don't care, losing to Ents. The big one is the Pro League group, which finished this group. That's the huge one. That's the huge talking point where they got their shit fisted in by Eternal Fire, didn't they? So that's not good. That's not a good start. And this is where we come to this point of the season. It's how much stock do we put in ESL Pro League results? And a lot of the time, I don't want to put stock on them, but at the same time, it is LAN. There's a huge sample size of games. Like if you're getting eliminated from Pro League group, you've lost 3 best of 3s. Like this is fairly unforgivable for a team like Cloud9. Like the teams they've lost to in this group are not teams they should be losing to. Like yes, like okay, Liquid aren't terrible. Okay, they are. Do you know, actually no, fuck that. Liquid are.
Yeah,
Liquid.
I was going to say Liquid are really bad.
Losing to Liquid and Eternal Fire is not something I thought this Cloud9
and also,
team
like,
would ever do. However new
complexity.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't feel like they shouldn't. I don't feel like they shouldn't be in this category.
I know, I agree. They just slipped my mind. This is an abomination of a result. No matter how new your team is, this is not something that Astralis from Glaive ever did. Glaive came in and they instantly did top. They were the top 8, then they were top 4, and then they started coming second and winning events. Like that was the transformation. And they don't have the language barrier issue that Na'Vi have. Like this is a team that we all thought would hit the ground running, and then obviously things have come out. Like Groove has said,
don't speak for all of us. Carry on.
You were pretty positive too,
no, I believe if you go back to our original Cloud9 episode, you'll see me talking shit about Electronic as an IGL. And I believe you'll also see me doing that in an episode about Na'Vi or a random episode at some point. Because that fucker ain't an IGL.
Right. And this is where we're coming onto with the Groove interview before Pro League. Before the shit hit the fan, it was all pretty calm still. And Groove's just come out, said to HL TV, we've got issues in the team because there's a lot of stars and a lot of voices. And that's what I think is the interesting thing in this team is that, okay, Nafany was gone, but I think we could all tell Nafany had lost control of this team a while ago. Like, this is not really a team built in Nafany's image and hasn't been for a while. Like, this is it was kind of like led by committee is what I want to say. Like, it was Shiro. We know Shiro did loads of calling. Hobbit, very impactful voice. Groove, been with them for a long time, definitely has a lot of input into the system, style of play. And then Nafany was the IGL, like the nominated IGL, but this was a leadership group. And they got rid of Nafany, but they haven't got rid of the leadership group. And Electronic coming in is like kind of on his own. He's trying to change the system clearly to be more like him. Like you can already see a little bit of the Electronic type of calling come in, like but good or ill. But Hobbit, Shiro, and Groove are still there. They still think about the game the same way. And I think it's more of an issue than I anticipated for Electronic to basically tell them all to shut the fuck up. And in the Cloud9 episode as well, I think I said Groove should go as well. I said Groove should go. I think they needed more of a fresh start than they've got by keeping Hobbit and Groove. Like Shiro are obviously going to stay, but if you bring in like, obviously it was never going to happen, but if you bring in like Electronic Blade as a combo, and then that's a new team, a new system, like, and Hobbit and Shiro aren't answering back. But because it's Electronic on its own, like this is where the leadership gets difficult, and yes, it's very early, and they said they weren't practicing CS2 when we asked them, when HTV asked them, but maybe they are, maybe they're being a little bit, but there's excuses you can reach for, but overall I think this leadership group is something that I didn't anticipate being this negative this early on. But I know you think it's Electronic's fault, but I think it's a group effort.
No. Okay. Let me redefine my views for you, right?
Okay.
I think there's definitely a case of too many cooks in the kitchen right now, right? Like, this is now I think the third, possibly fourth episode in a row. Oh no, we did Ents. Ents saved us, where we said the coach needs to go. So that's a good one. But Groove does need to go. Like, what? I couldn't tell you what Groove really does, because if he did anything, then they wouldn't have played the way they did under Nathany, and maybe would have thrown a flashbang. So Groove, he's issue number one, right? And then you've got the issue of, as you said, Hobbit and Shiro. And I mean, we'll get to the issue of Hobbit, the other issues with Hobbit in a bit. But the issue that is if you look at most teams, yes, okay, you're going to have one or two rounds where, like, maybe Spink's on Vitality. It's like, oh, I've got this gap, let's do this. And then, like, an Apex works off that. And Snappy said the same thing about Ents. And this is a normal thing in elite level teams, where occasionally on a round, a person's going to say, I want to do this play. Like, I'm in this position, he's there, let's do this. And this happens. But that happens, like, on the fly. And it happens very, like, it's improv. Like, it is improv in game. When it's the way it seems to be with Cloud9, where actually, okay, you've got Electronic as your nominated IGL, and then you've got two other people who are sort of, it seems, secondary calling. There's too many voices. Like, one of them needs to stop doing that. And I'd say, realistically, considering how they've been playing, it's got to be Hobbit. Like, it has to be Hobbit, and let Shiro sort of call around himself in the late round, because he is one of the best players in the world, and I say that very begrudgingly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think.
so,
I think Hobbit. When I was dreaming of this team and dreaming of what this kind of super team could achieve or whatever, I never had in mind Hobbit as anything other than a soldier. I thought Hobbit would have to be cucked and cucked hard for this to work, and
he has been.
He has been cucked. He has been coached, like, in game on T side, but he's kept a lot of the CT roles. Like, he's still in a lot of important rotate roles, because Ixel's doing his I'm a star anchor thing on like half the maps. So he's still, like, got a lot of impact, and and I don't think he should be having say in leadership. I think that ship has sailed. He can't be this overbearing type of support player. You want, like, because Perfecto, I'd like, he's not like as quiet as maybe an Inters or Zipex was in terms of leadership. Like, Perfecto has ideas and brings them as well, and that's something we've not mentioned. That's like another voice that you chuck in, and they just need a fucking soldier. They don't want someone bringing new ideas in game, out of game. Like, at some point, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's a great call or a bad call. Like, if people aren't listening and people are thinking I'm smarter than this guy, like, that is. Obviously, we're speculating. You never know what's going inside the team, but that kind of seems like is what's happening. Is that everyone has their own idea?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Because he's spoken is fine, but I didn't really finish my point, so I'll finish my point now. So there's a big but after what I was saying then about too many voices, and that is that until he wins multiple decent championships, I am always going to question the value of Electronic's voice as an in-game leader, because let's look at how he started. Right, he started IGLing out of necessity because Boomich, whatever happened with him, right? Like, let's not go into that one. As funny as it is, but so Boomich fucks off. There's no one else they can get because of circumstances, so Electronic starts IGLing. And from that point, What exactly did Navi do? Genuinely, what exactly did Navi do? They did fuck all. They might have made playoffs consistently, but look at the team they had. Like, they should have been a consistent playoff team. There's nothing that he did to make it seem like there's anything mildly impressive about it. And then when we factor in Blade as a coach and what we know Blade likes to do, and the fact that Blade's convinced he could get a tin can to IGL the team, it doesn't say much about, like, the brain power of someone he wants. Like, he probably could have found someone far smarter at the game, but he kind of doesn't want that because he can't fucking mould them, he can't shape them. It's the same shit we said about him in the Navi episode and him working with Alexi B. So it will take a lot for me to be convinced, because, you know, you just said it, like, there's people thinking, oh, I'm smarter than him, I know a better call than him, all this shit. I'm not even willing to say that they probably are thinking that, because I'm almost guaranteed, it's almost guaranteed that they are. I'm willing to say they're probably right half the fucking time. I just don't think he should be IGLing. I don't think he should ever be IGLing. But this is where we get to the other thing, right, which I alluded to in a message to you, and by alluded to, I said it very explicitly. I think something very fucking horrible is going to happen with this team eventually.
Oh, no.
And I think you sit there, and in your little TSM fantasy world, you're like, they've got the glaive, they've got the device, they're going to win a major, they're going to be really good. No, they don't have the glaive. They don't. Electronic ain't glaive. But you know what they're going to accidentally end up having because they won't listen to the Electronic? Fucking Fallen. Shiro, this is going to happen, right? Shiro is going to ruin his fucking career and become an RGL. Because he'll look at Blame F, he will look at Blame F and think, fucking hell, Blame F stats haven't gone down. He's still really good, isn't he? I'll become an RGL. I'll call around myself. It'll be fantastic. And this team is never going to work as a result of this. Unless something fucking drastic changes, it's never going to work. Or Shiro's just going to become the IGL. And then it really won't work. It really won't.
What's mental about that is that, honestly, it's from what everyone says about him, like even Nathany, like, everyone has said Shiro is the smartest fucking guy you'll ever meet in CS brain. Like, that is what people say about him. And honestly, like, he's too good individually. He's too good individually. And it's always that thing of secondary callers who think they can become primary callers. Like, and obviously it's quite far-fetched. We don't really think Shiro's going to do this. I don't think so, anyway. I think he understands how good he is individually. Well, of course you do. But I think it's a case of he's smart enough to do it, but also secondary callers becoming main callers, it's a completely different ballgame. Like, it's completely different.
But quite a few of them have done it, haven't they? Because they can't get their egos in check. They can't get their egos in check.
Does Shiro strike you like that? Like, because we're comparing him here to like a Stewie, right? Like a guy who always had the great call
like Stewie,
when he was the secondary caller.
And Nico.
Yeah. Shiro strikes you like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he seems calmer. He seems someone who understands the drop off.
If he wasn't like that, he'd be shutting his fucking mouth now. But he's not, is he?
Well, it doesn't seem like it.
If he wasn't like that, then they wouldn't have fucking ripped the team from the hands of Nathany, would they? But he is. He's going to be like that. That's what's happening. I promise you that's what's happening.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame. You don't want Shiro to become a James figure. Like, this is not where we were looking for it. This is not what we wanted from this team, right? You kind of... And honestly, like, if you've seen Jerry's new team, the Parry Vision team, it's fucking turbo garbage.
It is. And
I don't think Electronic would be a superstar player if you made him a player again. I think that ship has sailed, and it's part of the reason he's become an IGL is that he understands his individual form is not really there. I think that's undoubtedly part of the decision he's made to become like this full-time captain. So if you have an entry back at Jerry, like Jerry for Hobbit and Electronic as a star player again, like, it's probably better. I think it's a lot better, to be honest, because Jerry is that type of captain. And I think the issue is that they will have looked at Jerry. 100% they've looked at Jerry. Something tips them off and thought, maybe this guy's a tier below what we're looking for, that we could do better from within. And you see that a lot with these tier 1 teams. They don't like picking up tier 2 IGLs.
It was probably that Jerry stood there and he looked at Shiro and he's like, "You like shotgun?"
Well, look at Simple in Pro League. It's happening. It's happening. Shiro will have to like a shotgun.
Jerry's the genius. But no, I think, yeah, I mean, look, Jerry's done really impressive things throughout the past few years. I think the team would definitely be better. But given he's now on a team again, don't know why, because it's really, really bad and he's better than this, but that's why it'll probably work.
He's the new MSL.
Yeah, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. I personally think, though, if he ain't gonna shut the fuck up and he's in the roles he's in, just give the reins to Hobbit. Just give it to Hobbit. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he IGL Gambit years ago.
Yeah, he did. But after they won a major in Zeus left, he had to go. And
yeah, when they were all doing it. I think literally the entire, all 4 of them had to go, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a mess of a team. You can't be Hobbit. You just can't be Hobbit.
No.
Booywitch in, mate. Stick Booywitch in.
Well, yeah, but I'd rather Hobbit IGL and like Shiro secondary and sometimes Electronics like, nah, bruv. Like,
sure,
Hobbit, just this round run out here and I'm going to trade you sound. Like, I'd much rather that than seeing Electronic dog shit on a team where he's supposedly the caller but he can't actually make a call. Fuck that, man.
Sure, I think the main issue with this team, honestly, is the aggressive players actually kind of washed up and we didn't see it coming. I think Electronic Hobbit are the map control pack on T-side and in rotate spots on most of the maps. Like Axel does it a little bit, but we'll get to that later. The Electronic's rotating every map. And you look at, like, there's Russian players out there that, like, firepower-wise would be an improvement. I don't think maybe anticipated that because, like, it's the name value of Electronic and Hobbit. Like, this should not be a firepower issue. But I think we've seen that it is. We've seen that they are relying on their late round pieces too much. Because this, like, Chopper and Donk in for Electronic and Hobbit is a better team. And and I can say that after, like, one LAN. Like, it's kind of, like, the map control pack it's fine to have supportive elements in there when you've got, like, a really good late round core, like, phase. But I think even they've struggled a little bit with having a bit of a supportive pack. Like, you can see the blueprint, like the Snappy Madden, Rain Carrigan pack. Like, those are really good packs. They really fucking work. But Electronic and Hobbit, they're both used to being the star player out of a 2-man pack. And now they're having to adapt on the fly. And I don't think either of them are really good enough to be the star in a pack anymore. And they're kind of both trying to be, but then Hobbit's doing loads of bomb site entering. And it's just not a dynamic that I think is working. And Blade actually called this like 3 months ago in like a Pro League interview or something. He literally said, "Oh, it looks great on paper, but I'm not sure a Hobbit and Electronic can coexist on T-sides."
Well, no,
Hobbit's
so
0.82 T-side rating. 0.82.
Oh, he's awful, and we'll get to that in 1 second. But I don't think what you said there is entirely true. I think it's mostly true.
Which bit?
About them being washed up, right? I think it's mostly true, but I think it's very unfair.
It's hyperbole.
I think it's very unfair to completely write Electronic off while he's still, at least in his mind, the IGL. And I think if you took that away from him, if he's maybe not getting tilted from having people call over him, if he's not worrying about the mini-map and where people are and all this shit, and if people are in their timings to a call he made that they're not listening to, then, you know, maybe you see Electronic go back to a 1.1 something player. I mean,
he hasn't been awful in this team, to be fair. Like, he's like, when I say washed up, I mean just in terms of
1.01.
Okay, he's
last 3 months on LAN. Last 3 months on LAN, 1.01.
Yeah, it's like it.
So he's not been terrible. He's not justified his spots.
Yeah, but a lot of IGL don't justify their spots from a stats point of view. It's more in terms of like what they're doing support their pieces. And I think that the
No,
issue
of
with
course.
Electronic is that when you see Apex in a rotator spot, the amount of flashes he's throwing for Spigs and Zywoo is like a trio. Like they're a trio, but he's like supporting, and that's the kind of way that they make it work, right? Electronic is still playing these spots as if he's Electronic, because he should be Electronic. And that's kind of where you're looking at like a captain's mentality of someone who is like someone like Apex. He's like, obviously it didn't seem like an easy transition from like a brainless entry fragger into a great IGL, but like he's used to helping teammates. Electronic, less so, I think it's fair to say. Like he's been the star player. Like yes, he's not been like a crazy selfish star player. Like he was always a good seconds piece. But when it's like Electronic, Hobbit, and Shiro in mid on Mirage, well, it's not Mirage. Where's Hobbit rotate? Forgot. Overpass Virgo. Virgo, they play ramp together, right? So they're playing ramp together. Hobbit, Electronic, Shiro on ramp. That's a weird dynamic. Who's the star rifler? Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah,
Electronic feels like he should be. Hobbit feels like he should be. And this is kind of, it bleeds into the rest of it. And I think statistically speaking, you do kind of need one of them to be the soldier and IGL, I think teams just work better when your IGL's your soldier. Star IGL
This is why I said
what
I said about Hobbit. Like, Hobbit should just become, he should hard commit to being the soldier. They should give him the IGL keys, and they should just let him steer the ship for a bit.
It seems like such a big part of Electronic's identity, right? Like, kind of the way he speaks in interviews. I interviewed him, like very good English sound, by the way, like very good. And that is like the way Electronic Perfecto speak must be like, if you're like a little twink like Axel and Shiro, like it's kind of scary, honestly, like kind of fucking scary. Do you know what I mean? Like this is Electronic and Perfecto. They're sitting there saying, we're going to create an era. Just fucking balls to the wall. Both of them said it. Like, first event at Cologne. We're going to have an era. They've come into the team and are like, okay, well, Shiro, you're like, nearly as good as Simple. And Axel, you're way better than Bit. So we're just going to carry on from 2021. And it'll be fine. Because we don't care about the war and all that. And it'll be fine. That was what they were thinking coming in. And it's obviously been much tougher than that. And look where we are. It's difficult. It's difficult now.
Yeah. But there are other factors aid into that, and we've alluded to speaking about other people. We said we were going to do it, and then we spent like 20-something minutes talking about
It's the most important thing.
Being
the most
important
thing.
No, it is the most important thing. But Hobbit. What is Blood aiming at? Like, okay, fine, right? He's adapting to new roles, and it's
not
the
that
shit
many,
roles.
not
it's
that
the
many.
soldier roles. Yeah, not that many. It's the soldier shit. Like, it's the shit that in a purg it's really fun because you're running at like a ramp on Mirage, and your friend's like, oh yeah, I'll flash you out, and the CTs don't expect it. But you can't do fun shit like that at pro level. You just get slammed for it. But that being said, he's really bad at it. Like, it is not going well for him at all. At all.
What I don't get is that it's a very similar role, to be honest, as he had with Nafany. Because with Nafany, like Nafany and Electronic play very similarly on T sides. They're both the space takers who don't really give a fuck about being traded. They're like ahead of the pack, which always meant that in old Cloud9 teams, Hobbit and Inters did a lot of it, and I think Feck does a bit less than Inters ever did and Buster ever did. But it means Hobbit was doing a lot of bomb site entering before. He's like got similar opening attempts to before. Like, it's on paper his roles are, I don't think there's any changes really. Maybe one or two on CT side for Electronic and Perfecto. But there shouldn't have been this big a drop off, and I think that speaks to a lot of, even if your positions don't change, your roles can change, and he is doing a lot more bomb site entering now, and it seems to have thrown off his rhythm completely, like, because it's affecting his CT sides as well. Like on T side, like his aim has just magically got worse because he's entering on T side, and we've all had games like that where you're like, I've not seen anyone, I've not had a fair fight yet. Everyone says that. That's every now and again, and it does.
Yeah, but it's also
CT
the confidence sides. Of like, even when he does see someone, he's getting up by some fucker on the entry. Like, he's having his head ripped, and then someone else, probably not with how bad the team's doing, but someone else is at least attempting to trade him. Like, I mean, it's one of them. You can look at the spots and we can do all this shit, and I do it a load in articles, you do it a load in articles, but until you actually watch the thing, you don't understand how much things actually change because of like just the general flow of the team. But I think there is one other thing to consider with Hobbit, and let's be fair with Hobbit, there has been a pretty steady decline. You know, a lot of people have been calling for Hobbit's head for a while. I think a lot of people didn't expect Hobbit to be on this team. And I think you're at a point with Hobbit when you look at him, he's 29, and I know there's a few other players. I think Rain's 29 as well, right? Like, there's a few other players, similar age, round the same stats, maybe slightly better in the case of like Dupree and Rain and people like that. But, and this is another nail in the IGL needing to happen coffin, is, you know, HLTV posted yesterday, like average age, when you're older, you're more likely to become an IGL. Maybe it is just the time for Hobbit, if he wants to stay relevant, if he wants to stay useful to a team, he has to become this type of player, because right now, like, he ain't giving much value to Cloud9 otherwise.
Do you know what I would like?
Go on.
I would like Hobbit to be like mega cut rush / taco type player in this team. I would like him to completely embrace big site anchoring on CT side, and Axel be freed up with electronic as the rotators. And Hobbit just be a complete soldier. T-side, boring T-side rolls, and then bomb side entry, and just fuck him. Which he's doing a lot of now. It's just like on every map.
Rush did big site anchor, didn't he? For a bit.
Some small sites, but
because
like,
Taco did a lot of small
obviously
sites.
You've got Perfecto, so but I would put Perfecto in the important anchor roles and Hobbit in the less important anchor roles, and screw this Axel anchor thing, because like, yes, it makes sense, he's a turret, but he's also your best rifler by far on paper.
Yeah,
he should be in more important roles.
You can't not have him in.
Yeah, FaZe could do it because
regardless
Rain
of any of this meta bollocks.
Yeah, but it's not even a meta thing. It's like, okay, so Quesarato's doing it on Furia, which is because Furia have a bunch of crackheads, and it's just like, okay, fine. Quesarato like anchors, but he doesn't really, like on Anubis, say like Art plays mid and Quesarato plays A. But actually Art's dead and Quesarato's playing mid and A, and he's just that good, and it's fine. And then FaZe can do it because they've got Twists and Rops and Rain who all like rotating. Twist is obviously mega, and Rain is a CT specialist, so it's fine for Rops to be an anchor on some maps. But Cloud9, you're doing it with Electronic and Hobbit. Like, this is not something that should work anymore. Like, Axel did it for Nafany and Hobbit before. Like, this is... I get why he does it. He's very, very good at those anchor roles, but I think he needs to take a little bit more responsibility and be the fucking big ball star of this team, and that means rotate spots. And it means Hobbit getting cucks more.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, Harry, but like... Yeah, like this Hobbit is like, it's sandbagging the team, man. His entire flow is ruined. I'm not sure how he gets his flow back, other than you say cook. Maybe he cooks himself as part of it, but like, in my eyes, the bro's got to become the IGL, man. And I know we've not really escaped the previous point, but it's the only thing.
It's the solution, isn't it?
It's the only thing in my head that really makes this work. Like, let Electronic be Rain, let Hobbit be Carrigan. Ooh, that's a very offensive comparison to Carrigan. Even if his stock's low as fuck at the moment, and if it's not, it should be. We'll get to that in a couple of weeks. I've decided we're doing that in a couple of weeks because I need to have my rant. But yeah, I can't. If you're gonna stick with this 5, and especially if you're gonna stick with Groove, I see no other way out, man. Like, turn Hobbit into a fucking bitch, make him fucking small site anchor, make him do all the shit Carrigan does, but give him the ability to call for the fucking team, and then maybe his stats go slightly up, and if not, maybe they stay the same, but it's okay because he's actually offering something to the team and not dragging them to the fucking grave. Like, I don't see any other solution, because I also don't see, knowing how this team has played for the past however many years, that he can become the IGL, stay in the more important spots, and he will do what Apex does, or he will do what like someone like an Alexi B does, and things like that. And you know, he offers so much in communication and so much in support. I can't see him doing that. I don't see him magically changing to become that. So instead, just do what everyone else has to do at that age, at that big age, and kill your ego. Kill it. Just fuck off to the corner of the map, shoot people when they come at you, and run at people when you have to. And outside of that, stop complaining and use your brain a bit.
Yeah, and the trade-off with that is that if we're cucking Hobbit, then that's confirmed Perfecto as like the third rifle star, and Electronic and Axel need to bang people. They need to start banging more heads. Because I think an Electronic, something I criticize Electronic for is not getting the best out of Bit. I think Alexi B is already getting way more out of Bit than Electronic ever did, to be honest. And I know I don't rate Bit as highly as a lot of people.
Cool.
I know I don't rate Bit that highly, but I think if Axel's having a drop-off under Electronic too, then maybe there's something to this kind of like Electronic not being able to get the best out of a rifle star, because he's used to being a rifle star. IGL. He's the rifle star. He's not. Yeah, it's. But I do think we're living in fucking dreamland. I think Electronic, every interview he's ever given, he has been very, very clear that captaincy is his future and has been a long-term plan, and he's always wanted to do this, and he's happy doing it now.
Yeah. That's fine, mate. If you
go
back a few years,
they're not going to cut him, though, are they?
If you go back a few years, you will find an interview where Twist talks about wanting to AWP in the future. Have you ever seen Twist AWP? Sometimes
praise idiots, but
people live in fucking fairyland. We're not the ones living in fairyland. They are. We just see through the bullshit.
But is it not a reversion? Like Bobby, we started the episode talking about the leadership group and there being too much of a remnant of the old style, right? So is making Hobbit IGL and what just Nafany light? No?
It's the
same system.
I wouldn't put it too far past Hobbit, as bad as Gambit were when he was the IGL and they were all chopping and changing. I wouldn't put it past him to be smarter than Nafany, but that's because I think Nafany is utter fucking dog shit as an in-game leader. But no, of course it is, but it is with better pieces, right? Like, okay, so Inter's got cut a while ago, and you're like, okay, yeah, like it's like he was good for the team, but maybe get someone better. They
only worth kind to perfect.
They bring in Buster, and now they've got the player it was worth cutting him for. And then what else did they have? Oh yeah, they had Nafany, right? They had Nafany. It was fucking awful, and now you got Electronic, who. Okay, maybe he's not the IGL, and maybe he doesn't go back up that much stats-wise. Like, you know, we're never going to have 2018 Electronic again. We're never even going to have 2019 Electronic, or even 2021 Electronic, although I'm not sure off the top of my head whether he was as good as he was in, like, 2018. Right?
Yeah, he was really good, 21. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't watch half that year because it was online and shit. And their Grand Slam doesn't count. But, okay, maybe we're not going to... Maybe we're not going to have that, but I don't think it's that much reversion. Like, it's at least what you wanted Cloud9 to be when they were like that, and they have the firepower to maybe be like that, to play like shit and still win games. Like, I don't think it's that bad, honestly. Like, I just think you can't allow him to keep sandbagging, and then like you said, there's the Axile issue, and maybe that's an Electronic IGL issue, but I want to offer a potential other thing. So you and I, you've been watching since 15?
Yeah, like early 16 really.
Yeah, okay, so I've been watching since late 16. How many players have you seen in that time have sustained peaks for longer than 2 years? Because if you look at it, right, and I know Get Right was better for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
not many.
dropped off. Get Right, best player in the world for the first 2 years of Virtual TV's top 20. Wasn't so much after that. Olaf was for 1, and then you had Cold Zero for 2 years. And off the top of my head, right, when we're talking about this sustained star level ability, Zywoo, Device, Nico, Simple. Electronic, you can give a few years, fair enough.
I think Dupree was a very stable level for a long time. Someone like Crims as well.
Dupree was stable.
There are people out there.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, stable to the level they can compete, right? But there has been some element of role changes here and there so they can actually stay.
Yeah, I mean more in their prime. Like Prime Dupree was
Stay
what,
competing.
2015 to 2020 probably. Like that's a long time.
Oh yeah. Like there's a few others, but there's also a lot of players who like completely drop. Like Cold Zero, how fucking rubbish was he afterwards? Like let's not pretend.
Yes.
The guy was bad, and you know me and Charlie were laughing about it last night. Like, can you imagine telling someone in like 2016, early 2017 that one day Cold Zero and Nico were going to be on a team together and it's going to be one of the worst teams you've ever seen? Like,
yeah,
like it, and there's a part of me now that this Axar being average has gone on for that long that I'm like, I think it was Maui Snake right? But was Maui Snake right? And did Cloud9 and Gambit waste Axar's entire peak, his entire, these are the years where I will win everything I'll ever win? Did they waste it on Nafany?
I'll push back on the Axel thing because I think he's very early in his career in terms of like land maps played, things like that. The big events, he's let them down at big events. He should still have the hunger that like a Cold Zero maybe didn't have after winning the 2 majors, 2 MVPs, like that 2 number ones. Like this is, Axel should be treated as someone early in his career. I think the idea that he's peaked might be valid based on like raw HLTV placements, but a lot of that is online and also like the 2022 one. Like, yeah, he was like 4th, I think, but then that is very high, but also like it's hard to see him as this like this player that's really, really peaked when he hasn't done it in the really big events yet. And I think there's enough there that he should be able to do it in the really big events, and it's a little bit of a choking issue maybe, and that they can try and work through this with lots of methods. Like I think Cloud9 moaned a little bit about the psychologist only speaking English and they didn't speak English yet. Like that was one of the things that they talked about at some point. Like this is, I think it's Axel. It's an individualistic issue. I don't think it's a wasting of his peak. I think he can peak again. Obviously, like CS2 coming, who fucking knows? But I think Axel should be able to peak again.
Okay, maybe he could. I just don't think he will, man. I really don't think he will. I think, okay, psychologists speaking English, that's fine. We're not psychologists, right? But I think with how they were in the online era, with how they've been since, with how fucking awful he tends to be in big games, and now that's, you know, seeping into other games quite frequently. Yeah, the guy doesn't even have a 1.00 rating in the last 3 months. What is it?
No, it's that bad.
Am I chatting shit? I have it. Okay, no, he does. I lied. It's 1.02.
1.07 including online.
Yeah,
0.98 on that last 3 months. 0.98 on that.
Oh, the filter's all reset. Okay, the filter's all reset.
Yeah, so 0.98 is obviously nowhere near good enough. I agree.
No, it's not good enough at all. And that to me,
it's 14 maps, 15 maps. It's not a lot.
Either way, Harry. Like, okay, yeah, it's not down in an arena level.
But nearly.
Either way, it's bad enough over enough maps. Like if it was 4 maps, well, I wouldn't be saying this, right? But it's bad enough that to me it seems a little more than just Electronic can't set up a system for someone like him, for someone like Bit. It seems more than that. It seems more than, oh, he struggles in big games. He ain't playing big games. He ain't playing them. Like,
yeah,
he's not getting to do that right now because he isn't good enough to fucking get them there.
Seems to be together for 2 months though. This is the other thing. I think it's, we're doing this early because Pro League was this bad, but ahead of Copenhagen, I will say it now. I think Axel will be a star player again by Copenhagen. He'll be up there with the 1.15.
That's
plus
great.
rating.
That's great. And then they'll get to the quarterfinals. They'll be in an arena, and he'll get to his PC. He'll sit down, and as he lowers his hands to his mouse and keyboard, they're fucking shaking all the way down. He can't aim. You can fucking see that guy shake. You can see him shaking.
Yeah, he's just
you
like
can
me
fucking
for real.
see it when he peaks an angle. It's fucking mental, right? He's a bottler, right? And that won't be fixed by Copenhagen. That will not be fixed by Copenhagen, even if he's in
They've got Electronic
Solos,
Perfecto, and that's the whole point. The whole point is Electronic Perfecto with the big game
And
players
they can't
who can
fix it. They can't
help
fix him in
while
one
Axel's
game.
warming up.
They can't fix him in one game. What big arena are they going to play in between now and Copenhagen? Maybe Spodek. Maybe. It won't fix him. Promise you, it will not fix him.
Calling
Not
Spodek a
one
big
game.
arena too, but shut up, Matt.
It is in context of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's a big event. It's a prestigious event. It's not a huge arena, but
No, it's not. But
yeah, I get your point. And it's just, I want to be more positive than we've been in these 40 minutes. I think
yeah, of course,
they've still
you want
got the
to be
fucking
positive. That's what you
pieces.
do.
Well, only because you're lit, but I think with Axel, I don't want to ring the alarm bells in the same way that like, I think it's actually very similar to the Yabby situation where he was kind of the X factor that Cloud9 looks like they're at their best in the NAFTA era when Axel was the best player, the MVP, right? Shiro is always going to be stable, fucking superstar player, 1.2 rating. But when Axel is with him at 1.2 rating, that's when you see his impact, and that's when you see them win the Dallas event, and that's when you see them get to the final of Pro League and things like this. This is that is kind of the blueprint with what we're talking about, and I think that's pretty important for Axel to get back there, because if he's at a 1.00, like, this team has no. We're losing the main reason we thought this team was going to be so stacked is that the Axel Shiro combo was supposed to be guaranteed, and it's in the same way the Yabby Sound combo was supposed to be guaranteed for Heroic.
But this is where I think there's probably something else on the the whole like psychology side that we're not seeing, and it's why I think the peak thing is like, maybe he is looking back at the online era now that we're fucking 2 years removed from it. And he's like, oh shit, maybe I did do everything then. Why can't I do everything now? And maybe that's pushing him even further down that hole to a place where he might not be able to climb out of it anymore. And I really do think we're at a point now where we might have seen the best we're ever going to see out of Axel. I really do think
that would be really fucking sad.
And I think, even like we said, Hobbit becoming an IGL, even if fucking Jerry came in, I think the best we see him is like 1.10, 1.12. I don't think we'll ever see this Axel 1.2 something player you thought we were going to have. It was never. I don't think we're ever going to see Axel become this like new era rifle star that carries us through years in the way that like Nico has, or the way that Device would have if he was a rifler as simple as I would, or like,
I agree with that.
Dupree. I don't think we're ever going to see Axel become that. Even Electronic, I don't think we'll ever see Axel come close to Electronic. I mean, Electronic's one of the most freakish, like, for me, top 5 rifler in CSGO, like, incredible player.
Yeah, I think Electronic's easily. I think I agree with you. I don't think Axel's this legacy rifler. I really don't think Axel's this legacy rifler. And I think that's kind of when you're looking at it, you kind of, if you're being completely objective on it, you're looking at the blueprint of their best Russian team in 2 years. Axel's the 3rd star and Donk is the 2nd star and Shiro's your main star, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking anyway. I think Axel will kind of become that first star. I think that is kind of where we're headed, which is a massive shame.
And this is the thing, right? Sorry to cut you off, but this is the thing that's the real shame about this team, because everyone looks at it on paper and it's like, holy fuck, this is the Russian super team. In fact, it might be the super team when you see the names, when you see what
stacked.
You know what Perfecto has been in his roles the last couple of years. You know what Axel has been in a rifler. What Electronic has been, because his name value's carrying him. That Hobbit can be this great fifth member of a team. Like, Hobbit's your fifth member. You should be stacked. Not when he's this bad. And Shiro is a bare minimum top 3 author in the world. Right? You look at it, it looks fucking insane. I was always a little apprehensive though. And now I've seen it, I think it's fucking dead in the water. I think by Copenhagen, maybe you're looking at a team that consistently makes playoffs, but top 8s, occasionally lucky top 4s. Like, fuck.
Really?
They ain't, I don't think they're ever, this team, this 5, and Chuck Groovin, I don't think this 5 ever goes further than that. Maybe they'll win 1 or 2 tournaments, like, lower down. Like, you know, are they at that, what's that tournament that said they were going to be on CS2 this in November?
Or the Hustler Cup that everyone pulled out
maybe
of.
they could win some shit like that.
I don't think
it's got a big prize pool, right? They'll do good in the Valve ranking.
They're going to Sydney.
But
they're playing the Showdown. They're playing Sydney. They're the 2 next tests. They might be the last tests on CSGO as well. But did you see the Tommy tweet the other day? The one that was like, this is Na'Vi breaking up is exactly like Fnatic breaking up in 2016. You know, the Fnatic Godsent split?
Sorry, Lurpus.
Yeah, Lurpus, sorry.
Right, okay.
But yeah, so like,
strange
it's kind of the same thing where I don't think this Cloud9 or the new Na'Vi are ever going to be as good as 2021 Na'Vi, because like, obviously, it's like one of the best teams of all time. But I do think Cloud9 are going to be better than maybe we've made it seem this episode. I still think
they will.
I still think Shiro is that big a factor. I think Electronic and Perfecto, if they do get a little bit more stable into the big games, I think Electronic and Perfecto are humongous fucking assets. Hobbit is not going to be as bad as he's been the last 3 months. It's impossible. It's impossible he's going to be this bad.
Look.
And Axel will get back to a decent level, even if it's not the phase bashing Axel that we want to see.
It's
going to be a top 14
rock bottom.
The big events. I really think so.
This is rock bottom.
It has to be if they're going to win things.
It can only go up from here. This is rock bottom the same way that Heroic bombing last place from Cologne last year was rock bottom. So it can only be up from here. I just don't think it will. No, I think right. I don't know the name of any other mountain in the Himalayas, but I think Cloud9's peak is going to be like climbing to the fucking 7th highest peak in the Himalayas and looking up at Everest and thinking, "Fuck me, that's tall." This Cloud9, but I think it's like that.
What you've accidentally said, the 7th highest peak in the Himalayas is still fucking huge, by the way. And I agree with that. I think they're going to look at that. They'll look up at 2021 Na'Vi and be like, "Wow, we're never going to be that good," but they're still going to. I think.
No.
Axel,
You took it the wrong way, bruv. You've taken the Himalayas as a historical mountain range. Nah, the Himalayas is here and fucking now, bruv. They're gonna get there and they're gonna look up and like, I don't know what it's gonna look like in fucking Copenhagen, but let's say Everest, that's Vitality. The second one is like G2. The third one is Ents. The fourth one, big up my boys, it's Astralis. And like, I've taken it too far.
We're not doing this. Not with Borup.
But not with Borup. Fuck me.
Check out our interview.
Oh, I just had a little shake. But this team is not going to go far, and that brings me to the last thing I wanted to ask you.
We do a team you like next week. It'll be a really nice change.
Oh, not with the episodes I have planned. But unless you have something to say, remaining, no, because you're going to try and twist my metaphor again.
I have to go.
So it's kind of 2 questions, but I'm going to ask them together, because I'm pretty sure I know your answer to the first one, and that's Copenhagen. Fuck that. fuck that. How long do you give this team with these roles? So, we spoke a lot about Hobbit becoming the IGL, but with
Won't happen
exactly
soon.
these roles, yeah. Well, I don't think it would either. Exactly these roles. How long do you give this team? And right now, who would you be looking at if you were, you were the GM and you're like, yeah, this team's like, knowing more than what we know. Maybe if you're inside it, you can see that it's just fucking dead beyond belief. Like, what would you be looking at doing?
Okay, so long-term planning. I've mentioned Dog's name a few times this episode. I think he is do you remember in the French scene we're fighting over Zybo in like 2016? Because everyone just knew he was going to be that good. I think it has to be the same for Donk. I think Cloud9 needs to be tapping up Donk's agent right now saying, when's his contract up? I think they need to be. I think if you're going to commit to this Russian super team long term, Donk will be in it in the next few years. I think he's that good. Everything seems to point to him being that good. And I think that means that one of Electronic or Hobbit will be out for Donk. And how soon that's going to be, I don't know. I don't know if CS2 changes things. We've said for ages there's going to be some Russian crackers just turn up and bang CS2.
There's also going to be a lot of players who turn shit because of CS2.
Yes. I think the whole scene is going to... I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as like a source to 1.6 or like a go to source or go to 1.6 even, but it's going to be fairly dramatic. Like it still feels very different as a game. And I think that's why I think this Cloud9 team, yes, I'm going to say Copenhagen. I think they have until Copenhagen, because after Copenhagen, we're going to have a similar situation to after Paris, where people that GMs and data analysts should know exist, but the general public and the players who are making these decisions a lot of the time will also have heard of these new players at Copenhagen. The major cycle is going to throw up loads of new names, and I think that's the point where you have to reevaluate and give it a go. But I'm really hoping Cloud9 are going to be able to stick it out, because I like the idea of it. I like the idea of Electronic being able to become a captain and kind of have a second life. I think as much as
I love the idea,
it's wishful fucking thinking, right? Yeah, it is wishful thinking. I'm admitting it's wishful thinking, but he clearly understands the game really well. I just think this leadership committee is a little bit too much to deal with. I think they need Electronic to be... Because if you're going to have Electronic, and you can say this about any IGL, you just need to give him the fucking keys. Like, give him all the keys. Like, you need a lot of voices because CS is very individualistic. Like, a lot of people are making individual decisions in the round. You have to rely on your players to be able to make those decisions and activate those protocols without you saying anything. So it's helpful to have lots of people who understand the game. Of course it is. But they need to shut up when it's Electronic's turn to speak. No one's out calling Carrigan when there's 20 seconds left, right? Well, maybe they are. Maybe that's the issue. But they shouldn't be. And I think that's the same thing in this team. Electronic needs to be the final voice. And when they're having meetings about the system, it's Electronic and it's the coach and it's Shiro, and you lock Hobbit out the door, because Electronic needs to be the loudest voice in that team. And he can only have... You have Shiro as the star player, second call or whatever, fine. And you get a new coach that is more malleable and more of like Electronics guy. You want the coach to be the IGL's guy. You need the snappy saw combo. You can't have the coach see the game differently to your player. It's not going to work. I want Electronics to get his man in as coach, and then we can really see what type of captain he is, because I think Na'Vi, you never know what type of IGL a Na'Vi IGL is. You just never know because of Blade. So I think that's the thing. Copenhagen, I'd have a coach change before then, but I wouldn't make a player change unless Hobbit is literally a 0.8 rating in 3 months still. I don't think he will. I think Hobbit will be fine, and I think Hobbit will get cucked even more. And then by Copenhagen, I think top 4 minimum. I'm going to stand by what we said a few months ago. I think this Pro League result will be a blip. I think it could be like Heroics Cologne, and they will just, hopefully in CS2, come back stronger. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but I feel like
No, it's perfectly fine. You said a lot of good shit. I listened to half of it. I enjoyed that half of it, and hopefully anyone still listening, if they manage to sit through the other half without wanting to blow their brains out. No, I'm taking the piss. No, I look. Top 4 Copenhagen. If we're both there, I'll buy you drinks on the Saturday night. If they're in the top 4,
they're in the semis
in Copenhagen as well. So this is actually, I'm committing to a lot of money here.
Yeah. Jesus.
If we're both there, or if fuck off somewhere else to watch it as a group, whatever, right? If they play on that Saturday, I will buy your drinks all night.
Okay, fine. I'm happy with this.
Because they won't be there. And if they're not there, you'll buy mine.
No, that's not fair, because they could have changed off the team. There could be CS2 brackets.
Now we both got skin in the game.
Changing.
Yeah.
Not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Get in the game, brother. But look, I want them to be good. I do. Like, I only say, like, Exile's a bottler and Shiro's not devised to piss you off. But, like, we need more good teams because we're about to lose one with Heroic. Like I said that last week. Like, Heroic's never going to be the team they've been for the last 18 months again. It's not happening. Ents might stick around. FaZe are bad. Like, we need another good team. I don't think this team is it. I really don't think this team is it without some drastic changes within the team or changes to the team.
Would you make a change now then? Already?
Yeah, I'd give out Hobbit OGL and see if that works. I think results are bad enough so far that it's just like...
But it is just Pro League, really. Like, Cologne playoffs, they got playoffs with a stand-in. That was good. They lost to a good team in the quarters. Like, this is... Gabers 8, they lost to Ents. Ents are really fucking good. It's just this Pro League, and I know Pro League is a long event, and losing 3 best-of-3s to those 3 teams is unforgivable, but it is one event. It's all in a space of 3 days.
You've got to remember. I don't think there's anyone in the world who doesn't rate electronic IGLing like I don't rate electronic IGLing.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that, and I think if honestly. I don't know where the RMRs sit, whether they're before or after Cato.
After, I think.
If they don't play in the SPO deck, I'd fucking boot someone instantly. I'd also be looking to get rid of Groove in the meantime, potentially. Like if you do the Hobbit change, maybe not. Maybe that's not an issue. But yeah, if they're not in the SPO deck, I'm booting someone, and I'm getting whether it's Chiron's become a crackhead by then, whether Donk's available by then, I'm getting whoever, and I'm hoping for a honeymoon period in Copenhagen because you ain't gonna win it any other fucking way, and you won't be getting your drinks paid for on a Saturday. But we've been going for a fucking long time, and I've run out of things to say other than that. I'm sure you've run out of things to say. So what about everyone else? We'll bring you into it because we're nice people. What have you got to say? Is Cloud9 shit? Do you think Cloud9 can be as good as Harry thinks? And if they do, what did you smoke this morning or last night or whatever it was? And please give me your guy's number. No, I'm past that part of life. Other than that, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week. Same fucking time, day as always. We're going to moan. Well, I say we. I'm going to moan about a team. Harry's going to attend too positive about a team while also moaning about the team. And that's just how it works around here. I'm Sam Animo Mackenzie. He's Harry Nero Richards. And we fucking hate Counter-Strike teams. See you later.